Hey everybody, it is time for some more Metroid. Last time we left off in KRAID's lair, which of course has the best music in the entire game. It also has the rest of the items in the game, a ton of enemy spawners, which kind of pissed me off, and the other main boss of the game, KRAID. We pick up a quick missile early on. Now this corridor continues off to the right and goes up a bit, where there are a lot more rooms. However, all of those rooms are identical corridors that have nothing in them. Unlike the Zero Mission counterpart, where they hold a boss fight, and an important key for getting through the lair, they're completely meaningless here, and so I've decided to skip them. Down here, however, is something that we're definitely going to want, even though we can't use it. That's right, it is another energy tank, and to get it, we just need to bomb jump up there. And to get out, we're going to unmorph and jump, and head back down this way. Now there's a reason I needed to unmorph and remorph before I laid the bombs to do the jump to the energy tank. See if you can figure out what it is, but it's going to come into play again later on when we're getting out of here. As usual, the morph ball is very useful to dodge the enemy spawners, but unfortunately you have no dodging capability while you're going through a door, and enemies can still hit you while you're going through a door. So these things can be a lot more annoying than they have any right to be. And when things are more annoying than they have any right to be, I like to start firing missiles at stuff. Those bats just happen to be the first of many victims. Side hopper? Freezing's too good for you. Excellent. Just 2 more missile tanks and an energy tank, and we'll have all the items in the game. So, now we need to head over to the vertical corridor on the left side of KRAID's lair, and just take a big leap. Fake sand, who needs that? Enemies, whatever. Falling all the way down is the quickest way to get to KRAID, much like it is in Ridley's lair, where missing a jump and falling all the way down is the quickest way to get to Ridley. Now this is a horizontal corridor, which makes this a vertical corridor, and we're going to come back here in just a bit to exploit that fact. But first we need to pick up yet another missile. Oh hey, it's the same set of 2 rooms that all the other missile tanks have been in so far. How creative. Or not. Now KRAID's lair is interesting in that scrolling is fun to play with here. Now, if you recall the door jump glitch we used in the last bonus video, when used in this area, with all of the different rooms, you can achieve some pretty fun results, which we'll take a look at later. But first, let's fight KRAID. Hey there, KRAID, looking a little small, maybe a little bit bluer than usual. I hesitate to call it a fair fight since he's a bit under the weather, but 1 missile and he's done for. Of course that wasn't the real KRAID. It would be kind of pathetic if that was the actual boss fight. But if you're wondering where Super Metroid got the fake tiny KRAID in front of the real KRAID, that's where it is. It was actually a holdover from the original game. And I rather like it. I kind of wish that there was a fake Ridley, too. Since we just came out of a horizontal corridor, this one is also vertical, and it contains a shortcut straight to KRAID's lair that a lot of players miss. And here we are at the man himself already. He's so shocked because we blew up his buddy that he took an extra missile's worth of damage just as we were entering the room. The tactic to fight him remains the same as it was before. Freeze his projectiles, then shove missiles down his throat. This is actually far more challenging than the Zero Mission and Super Metroid iterations of the fight, in which the strategy is cram missiles down his throat. No freezing involved. Of course, there's another, far more famous way to defeat KRAID in the original Metroid, and I'm sure you'd all rather see it than watch me freeze all of his limbs over and over and over again. That's right, it's the bombs. You can get in there against KRAID and hit him with a lot of bombs in a very short amount of time. And that's enough to defeat him pretty easily. In fact, he can't really hurt you while you are being propelled by a bomb blast, which is very handy. but just in case you do get extremely hurt, there's an energy tank hidden down here in the corner of the room, which can refill you if you're doing pretty badly at the fight. One thing left to do in KRAID's lair. There's one more missile tank, and unfortunately it's at the top of one of the most annoying rooms in the entire game. I actually really dislike the room and wish they had, come up with something a little better for the route out of here. Of course, they made up for it big time in Zero Mission. In Zero Mission, this version of the room is one of my favorite parts of the game because it lets you test out the new toy you get for beating KRAID in that game, namely the Speed Booster. As you can see, escaping the room in Zero Mission is extremely painless, even with the pretentious diagonal bomb jumping I have to do to make it up to the door due to my lack of power grip. In here we will find the final missile tank in the game, and to celebrate I'm just chucking missiles at everything I can. Well done, Samus. You're the best around. Although, maybe the missile on the blue door was a little bit of overkill, but who am I kidding? It was looking at me funny. Now then, there's one last thing to do to complete our mission here on Zebes, and that's get to Torian and kill off the Mother Brain. But first, there's one more thing about bomb jumping that I don't believe I've mentioned prior, but I did use it earlier in this video to get up to the energy tank. Now remember in the door jump video, when I had to morph and unmorph to get height while I was in the wall, and I said that every time you morph, you gain height. That goes the same whether you're in a wall or just on the ground as usual. By morphing and bombing at the same time, your bombs land a little bit higher than they would if you waited until you were steady on the ground before you dropped them. That in turn results in you getting a greater height out of your bomb jump, and it lets you make bomb jumps that would otherwise be impossible. It's actually a pretty cool technique. Unfortunately, our escape from KRAID's lair means that we've also escaped from the best music in the game, and that it's time for the final climb up to Torian, which means that we get to say one last goodbye to the long, tall, blue vertical shafts that we have traversed so many times throughout the game. Fortunately, climbing back up them is made far easier with the high jump boots. Now normally, I know you don't have to get the high jump boots to complete the game, but if there's one point where I really appreciate them, it is climbing up the shaft to Torian. I thought I had managed to abuse the random number generator there to make this zoomer not appear, but unfortunately it seems I made a mistake. The way it's told is you have to kill the first two out of the three shriek bats there, or screes there rather. And if you do, then the zoomer that blocks your path through the morph ball tunnel won't appear. The high jump boots make it simple to traverse the corridor, as you can just skip the platforms on the left and just go around to the right, and having the screw attack also lets you take out the zoomers and or gamers that may be in your way. Doesn't do you any good against the brown rippers though, it only hurts the purple ones. You might remember this area as being where we got the long beam. Torian is actually right above it, at the very top of the fortress, which is kind of strange. I don't see why you'd want to put the command center of your entire Crazy Space Pirate fortress up at the very top, closest to the surface. It seems like it would be a little, well, I suppose it's good if you might need to escape it in a hurry, but Mother Brain really isn't in any position to get away from us, being a brain in a tank and all. Now Torian, if you've played Super Metroid, or this game, or Zero Mission, you already know that it uses a rather, shall we say, unique defense mechanism. And by unique, I mean pretty retarded. Have you heard of a dead man switch? It's basically something that people use on highly sensitive locks. And the way that works is, if the heartbeat of whoever the keeper of that information stops, then it becomes entirely impossible to access the information. Torian works the opposite way. Once you kill the pirate leaders, it unlocks. Guess Mother Brain really isn't that smart. Anyways, next time, we're going to finish things up in Torian. See you then.